are many ways you can drive the Nürburgring Nordschleife. I've been visiting since 2002 in my classic car, and I can say that when I first arrived, it was back in the good old days. It was back in times when there were not so much traffic, not so many visitors, it was much cheaper, and there were not so many ridiculously fast cars. Sometimes I get the impression from modern cars that if you want to set a faster time, you simply go faster. It looks like the ESP or ASP or DSG or whatever it's called helps out all the drivers very much. I've seen many cars wiggle their tails and thinking, oh, he's about to go into the barrier. But then miraculously, the car straightens up and powers on towards the next bend. In classic cars it's different. We have to pay attention to the old virtues of slow in, fast out, getting your car to work in a stable manner. You need to brake cautiously, and you need to be cautious about gassing out of a corner. All this, I think, makes it more exciting to drive the car, and also for the spectators alongside the fences of the Nürburgring. I think this must be more exciting to look at. I've tried to make this video about the ultimo stile way, or the classic way to drive the Nürburgring. Play it safe and make your own day. The ultimo stile experience about classic Italian sports cars. I try to inspire people to see how simple it is to do all the exciting stuff. So go ahead, make your day count. We all know the shape of the Nordschleife from the stickers you see on the rear hatches of Ringer cars. For Touristenfahrer, it's all about the big loop on top, the North Loop, Nordschleife. Years ago I divided the loop into 8 sectors in order to keep track of my own improvements. I use BTG, bridge to gantry, just as so many others do. The first sector stretches from bridge downhill through Hatzenbach and ends at Hocheichen. The next sector is high speed over Flugplatz and Schwittenkreuz and ends in hard braking for Arenberg. Then comes the steep downhill Fuchsröhre and up through Adenauer Forst and into the open at Metzgesfeld, ending in hard braking at Kallenhardt. The fourth sector is downhill through fast twisty bits, down to the lowest point at Breitscheid and into the tight uphill ex-mühle corner. Sector 5 is a horsepower sector. It is mostly full power and fast cars will shoot ahead here. It ends at the Steilstreckenkurve Hairpin. Then I have a short sector from Steilstrecke over Karussell and up to the highest point at Hohe Acht. It makes sense because then it goes downhill for the Wippermann-Brunchen sector, a very difficult sector that ends in drama at Pflanzgarten. Then for the last sector we drive into the open over Schwalbenswanz, around Galgenkopf and under the gantry. On proper track days we can also speed up the Döttinger Höhe, but for Touristenfahrt we have to stop at the paddock halfway up the straight. Yes, it's uphill. You have all seen this before. driving out of the barriers and the paddock and accelerating hard towards the bridge. You naturally arrive from the right, and if you are at high speed, you have to be at the left onto the bridge. Otherwise, you will end up on the grass in Tiergarten here after the hilltop. The Tiergarten is otherwise a straight line, or should be thought of as one. Never mind the cars here. I'm arriving a bit too far left, but the important stuff is getting close past the orange marking here. Then the final braking zone for Hohenrhein shows itself as a straight line. Go all the way over in the corner and cut thoroughly behind the right and left corner here in order to negotiate the right-hander at speed almost brushing the high barrier at this blind corner. If you turn too early, you will go on the grass. This is too early to crash. Accelerate hard over the hill and go up against the barrier. You see a tight left-hander here, where some go over the line on the right to get a bigger curve. I don't, but see too that you get a late apex in order to stay clear of the curb on the right. We are now in Hatzenbach proper. We accelerate downhill and draw slowly to the left. No sweat really, but we have to be careful to stay left, where this Ferrari goes, until the 2-kilometer signpost and turn in for a long sweeper. And then we can accelerate hard again, moving right to align for the S's. A hard dab on the brakes to stabilize the car, and, did you see that? I was beginning to gear down from fourth, but decided to do it inside the bend. That's also okay, depending on gear ratios. You can also brake again in this short straight inside the S-bend. If you don't brake enough, you will have trouble staying off the grass on the left, with only a meter to spare until you hit the barrier. But you need to be on the left because the twisty bits here demands very late apexing. You need to cut way behind the corners in order to maintain your speed and avoid to brake. You will then arrive at the last Hatzenbach corner without having lost velocity, and you will get clear and shoot across to Hochreichen in the shades of big trees and often damp and slippery. This is where sector 1 ends as you dive into the S's here. I have created this aerial view in Google Maps. It shows how we get through the first left-hander and go past the 2-kilometer sign. And we can shoot up to the S-bend here, maybe brake once more. And through the twisty bits, we go right, left, right, and cut behind the corners, and then shoot past the straight to Hochreichen. Now let's see that again, uninterrupted and with proper sound. Arrive at Hochreichen again and try to get as much power down through the left-hander. It looks easy because it's banked, but the transition between right and left actually can provoke oversteer. especially on a wet day and especially in an old car without computers and sophisticated suspension. As we get clear, the road ahead is quite obvious. You can see that the track moves right over a hill, but it's okay to stay in the middle of the road and slowly seek left. Once over the bridge here, you can see the next hill, and this one is very important. It's the entry to Flugplatz, and it's where you should start a high-speed stretch over Swedenkreuz. Stay left up the hill and wait for the orange marking where you see a service road. The service road is the turn-in point for Flugplatz, a 2-apex big bend. At the first curb, stay clear by half a meter, and then by the next almost touch it, and you will most certainly have gained on the other cars, and you can now accelerate hard for Swedenkreuz. The trees show the direction and the big left sweeper. Go fast over the first shallow hill, and then you see one of the most dangerous places of the track. Oh, we have too many cars here. Let's try another run. Over the first hill, and now you see Swedenkreuz. Aim for the hilltop coming in from mid-track. Don't follow the line, because you will see that after the hill it goes further right again, and you want to be well out to the right and brake quite hard here and change down to stabilize the car. Turn in at the 5 km signpost and keep a steady throttle, accelerating while you cut thoroughly behind the corner and prepare for a maximum braking rehearsal for the mighty Arenberg corner. This concludes sector 2, and we aim down the foxhole. And seen from the air, we're going down Hocheichen and over Quedlinbacher Höhe and into Flugplatz. Remember the service road, and we make 1-2 apexes going over the hill here and starting to gain speed properly. We wait for the 5 km sign and turn over Swedenkreuz and brake hard for Arenberg. Now let's see that again uninterrupted. So this is the braking maneuver again. It's very satisfying to brake late in the very limit, but not too much either. You have to feel that you almost go into the sand trap and wait long before you release the brake, settle and turn in. If you do it right, you can aim for a very late apex and then start hard acceleration while you let the car seek the outer curb under the Arenberg bridge. Stay on the throttle and shift into top gear as soon as appropriate, because you need all your senses in this fast downhill craziness. If you get over to the right, you will see that the Fuchsröhre is almost a straight line down to the bottom. Drive it as such, going past the curbs either side, but under no circumstances touching them. Stability is key here. You cannot prepare for the jolt when the car sinks deep into its springs at the bottom, so you absolutely have to have the path laid out for negotiating the deep. Leave the right side after the curb ends, stay half a meter clear of the left curb, and aim for a parallel braking and downshifting zone on the right up towards the top here. Release, stabilize and turn determinedly around the left-hander in order to arrive at the straight line for braking towards the tricky entry to Adenauerforst. You should brake, shift down again and wait until your turning circle will take you right into the apex at the signpost. This will allow you for a straight braking line into the slow left-hander. Everything in Adenauer Forst happens with very poor visibility because it's right on a shallow hilltop. But this zigzag line won't slow you down. You are already quite slow here, and it allows what is most important for a fast exit. Turn tight and cut behind the left-hander and watch how the road opens for hard acceleration without getting on the grass on the left. Now we can accelerate max out onto the Metzgesfeld plain. Faster cars will have caught up, let them pass. There's plenty of room here, and you only have to mind that you get around the woods on the right side of the track, in between that wood and the tree. You will have gained a fair speed here, and the Metzgesfeld left bend is quite tricky to see properly at speed. You need to brake at a diagonal line here and turn in for a straight line up towards a very tight bend here in the corner of the field. It's a clean braking maneuver, but this place is often damp with water running across sometimes. Don't underestimate it. Wait for it and turn in later than you think. Go over the top. It will take out velocity. Do not brake, but steer the car bravely. You will have time to brake down to the next bend. But that is already in the next sector. We are now at Kallenhardt. And from the air, the Arenberg is almost a hairpin. Here we shoot under the bridge and dive into the foxhole. A straight line and preparing very cautiously for the deep. Braking and shifting down 2 times and going the zigzag route through the Adenauer Forst. Cutting behind and getting properly into the open here. Then we can gather speed and brake diagonally for the first bend and power over to the Kallenhardt corner here. Go over the hill and dive into the Kallenhardt corner. Now let's see that again, uninterrupted. We are at Kallenhardt again. This area is very often damp, making it a little scary to arrive downhill for an absolutely blind corner. But you have to wait, and you have to dive hard in towards a very late apex. The corner is almost a hairpin, and if you want to keep your speed, only late apexing will let you avoid the grass and Armco here on the left. Then you can see the track again. Go right and prepare for a bumpy S-bend left-right. Some like to wait, but I go into the corner here, although there's a tough bump in the surface. I then settle my speed and wait until the corner here and turn in for the miss. It's a scary 3 apex big bend. You have to remember to get in at the middle curb while staying out of the 2 others. This will allow you to aim down towards the Wehrseifen signpost and brake hard in a straight line. Finish braking before you turn in and go across in the longest possible line here. You can then shift down and brake again. Turn tightly and snake around Wehrseifen in a way that uses the slightly banked bend. Many have panicked and crashed here either going way too fast or oversteering after suddenly releasing the accelerator pedal. But we are through in a clean line that allows acceleration further down the next descent to Breitscheid. You need to get in line for a parallel braking zone down towards the hidden left-hander. At the end of the gutter in the curb, you need to have changed down. Release the brake and steer in with patience, because you need to have a late apex, or you will have to brake mid-corner and could end up oversteering into the outside barrier. I'm going a bit too tight here, but you get the idea. A line opens up for straight braking towards ex-mühle, and the fourth sector ends. We are halfway around the Nordschleife. Now there's Kallenhardt. It's almost a proper hairpin, as you can see here. A long bend in the woods. Then we get free and we go into the S's, the bumpy S's, and then it's miss, hit, miss, and you can almost see the hit bit poke out in the middle. And then further down to Wehrseifen, where we get a smooth line around, and further down at high speed, braking hard for the bend at Breitscheid, getting a good wide line around and up to ex-mühle. Welcome back to the city of Ardenau, where we shoot at the ex-mühle corner, arriving straight in third gear and turning in at the end of the curve. Stay on the gas and dose the torque with caution. With rear-wheel drive, you may get snap oversteer on one of the bumps, and with front-wheel drive, you can understeer into the outside barrier. Once we are over the top, continue accelerating towards the Lauda kink. The trackside woods show the direction like a canal, but it is difficult to see the turn-in point. It gets more clear as we get nearer. But speed is high, and it's important that you don't get too far out on the right here, because the important bit is arriving all the way to the left for the long Bergwerk bend, with the car settled best as possible. Brake hard and time the release with your turn-in almost later than you dare. You should think of the rumpelstones here as a rolling zone, where you wait to apply the gas and then gradually give it as much as it can manage, while you focus on seeking a late apex on the right. This will keep you clear of the outside barriers and the track opens up. You need to take this bend at around 100 km per hour if you wish to be able to gather enough speed on the following 2 km uphill horsepower test. Aim for the 11 km sign and cross the track to the right side. Turn away from the right side before the 11 km sign here and make sure to be at the left side curb for this first left-hander. Then you see the next brown, only dangerous in very fast cars, and your focus is on the next left-hander, where it is important to go all the way over to the left curb if you want to maintain the speed that you have struggled for. In this example, I managed to time it between 3 faster cars without lifting, but often you will get overtaken by extremely fast, modern and powerful cars here. Make sure to indicate what you are doing. Many accidents have happened here. With the first difficult bends behind us, we stride up towards Angstkurve, a blind left-hander further up Kesselchen. If you have space, go up in the middle here and wait to seek left until it makes sense. Then shift nice and easy across to the right side of the track and prepare for the Angstkurve. It is really a straight line and it's marked by the cobblestones, where you shift down, turn in at the end and power over the hill. Next dangerous bit is Klostertal, a real snap oversteer bit. It looks like an easy right-hander, but the little modern car is way too far right here. You have to turn right in a very precise line at speed, and it is on a hill with low grip. You can actually gain room by arriving a bit from the right, because the trackside kicks to the left. Seen from before Klostertal it looks crazy, but from here it's evident. If you do that, you can get the perfect line and power up to Steilstrecke. I would usually arrive further towards the middle of the track in order to go straight up along the curb here, where I brake hard and wait to turn in until the end of the curbs. We are now at Steilstreckenkurve, and the first sector of the home stretch is behind us. And from the air we power up ex-mühle, nice and easy, and gather speed and turn in correctly for the Lauda kink, and then Bergwerk here in the shadows, a long sweeper, almost a hairpin, getting a good exit and aiming for the 11-kilometer sign over the first left hill and the next one, and then there's this one, the difficult one, and gathering more speed up the hill, preparing for the Angstkurve. You can see it here, the tightest part. One gear down and power up towards the tricky bits of Klostertal, and then arriving at Steilstrecke. Now let's see that again, uninterrupted. Back at Steilstrecke. Turn in at the end of the curbs, and then, very important for your speed, you need to aim for a very late apex. This is the proper hairpin, and you shouldn't apex before the loudspeaker mast here. So, power and patience, and then draw across and accelerate. You will now see that the approach to the carousel is almost a straight line from curb to curb. Leaving the last right curb, as it ends, you aim for the cage next to the big signboard. And we are in the carousel. I'm a bit too tight here. You should have the left wheels at the inner circle of the concrete slabs, not on the asphalt like me. There is only one elegant and slick way out of the carousel. Many have oversteered or virtually flown onto the grass, but you'll get it. Max speed is around 70 to 80 kilometers per hour in the carousel, even for race cars. And now there's a yellow flag. We haven't discussed this, but it's sadly too common, and you need to adjust to it and show respect. We'll take it once again. Here's another run. Late apex, loudspeaker mast, straights, aiming for the cage next to the signboard. And we're out of the carousel again. The approach to Hohe Acht is very important for lap times and can only be driven at speed with a proper line. There's plenty of room, but as the track rises in front of your car as a green monster, it is a bit intimidating. Be far on the right here and turn in a car length after the curb ends. This will take you properly around this left-hander with a straight arrival at this curb, where you may brake or keep a relaxed accelerator. Turn in at the end of the curb and cut behind here in order to power over Hohe Acht. I like to stay in 4th gear, but that requires speed. This ends the shortest sector, but it makes sense because this is the highest point of the track and the next sector is down through the woods. Around Steilstrecke, it's a 170-degree hairpin, and then into the carousel, the most famous bend of the Nürburgring. You can see it's more than 180 degrees, and we shoot out of the carousel and go for the Hohe Acht bit, very cautiously over these two left-handers and up the hill, and we are at the highest point of the Nordschleife. The downhill corner at Hohe Acht is blind, but it's not necessary to stay out at the curb and brake. If you turn in a little early and keep a steady throttle, there's plenty of room to go around, as long as you get into the right at the curb. Next is Hedwigshöhe, a snaky bit that is almost too easy. Use it to prepare for the Wippermann S-bend, one of the most difficult details on the whole track. Be sure to go close by the orange barrier here and turn in for a straight braking zone for Wippermann. Stabilize the car with a dab on the brakes and steer determinedly in at the end of the curb. You have to concentrate on getting well behind the left curb. And voila, the right-hander becomes piece of cake. Too much speed, unsettled suspension from riding on the curbs, or a too straight left-hander will definitely get you on the grass here, and you don't want that. I have to make way for a fast BMW, but otherwise I would take exactly his line. Brake and change down. On top of Eschbach there's plenty of room, despite the poor visibility caused by the hill itself. You need to go all the way over to the signpost here and brake before you turn in. Don't go all the way to the left, because as you will see here, a straight braking line will reveal itself before the turn in to Brunchen. Swift turn in and make sure to get all the way to the right curb. This will allow a relaxed acceleration towards the second Brunchen bend, a bend that is often underestimated, to the joy and applause of the many spectators here. Brake for the end of the left curb and turn in. Here you also have to think about apexing at the loudspeaker mast. Don't look for it, just think about it. If you apex too early or too wide, you will go into the gravel on the exit. Once clear of the left side rumblestones, we shift right for ice crew. I'm taking the correct line here. The modern car can cut inside with his modern tires and suspension and ESP. Over ice curve. Get behind the apex, but do not worry, because the track goes right again immediately after the top here. Then we need to prepare for Pflanzgarten. It is important to go to the right, here at the flag post number 169. This will reveal Pflanzgarten as a straight line, curb to curb, and it leads us down to the left side of the jump. But this also ends this sector. From Hoacht it's down through the woods, Hedvigshöhe, and preparing, braking for the S-bend here, and up over Eschbach. It looks easy. Then we go downwards and over to the signpost and turn in, but not too tight, because we want to get down to Brunchen, past the sand area here with all the spectators, and into Brunchen 2 with the late apex at the loudspeaker mast. And then we can relax a bit and go up to Eiskurve over the hill. It goes left and right again and down to the Pflanzgarten jump. Now let's see that again, uninterrupted. Sector take us into the open again, but first we have to negotiate the Pflanzgarten plateau. Aligned for the jump, brake shortly before the car goes light, and you may brake again when you land. Turn in at the curb end and make a calm and controlled turn all the way around this long uphill right-hander. There's a roadworks here, but usually I would go all the way to the right and get cleanly around this left-hander. The idea is to arrive along the rumblestone on the right and then go straight over the next jump. Here more than a few have lost the rear end because the jump unsettles the car. Straight steering and constant throttle. And then you can go on the gas. I even change up to top gear as soon as I feel confident to steer the car with one hand. This snaky bit can surprise some, but it is really almost straight. Go from one curb to the other, but don't touch them. For the last twist here, there's no curb and you can go over the grass if you need to, with a steady throttle. Then comes the hidden entry for Schwalbenschwanz. Quite late it becomes evident which way the track goes. A correct turn-in point will mean a lot to your speed. There's a fast line and all the others are slow. I'm coming in a bit tight here. I should have been further over to the left, but the idea is to get along the right trackside and brake for the first Schwalbenschwanz corner here over the hill. You have to be in control of the traction here. You can easily oversteer and spin out because the track falls away and there may be sand under the surface. But well through the bend you can aim for a fast burst up to the little carousel. Turn sharply in and throw the car into the concrete slabs. And just point it all the way in and stay in, because if you let the car track out, it will jump out of the carousel in a totally uncontrolled way. If you stay in too long, it will, on the other hand, feel very inefficient when you gather speed again. There's a middle way that is just perfect. We now aim for the last long sweeper around Galgenkopf. Let the car settle up the hill and turn in at the end of the left curb. Shift over to the right and choose a deliberate wide line on the left. Stay out until you arrive at the number 186 flag post. Then turn in. And if you get to the right side at a proper point, you will be able to accelerate evenly all the way up Döttinger. This is the gantry, and we have concluded a BTG lap of the Nordschleife. The Döttinger is uphill all the way. most cars will have trouble reaching top speed. And for touristenfart, it is also more appropriate to let the car slow down and cool the engine wings. But we also need to see it from the air. There's the sand trap at Pflanzgarten, and we go all around the bend and easy over the next jump. And then there's the twisty bits, more like a straight line and into the open, and the difficult turn into Schwalbenschwanz. The first turn up over the hill, and then tight into the little carousel, where it's important to shoot out at the right direction. Then we accelerate up the hill and go for Galgenkopf. It's a long sweeper, and we need to stay out until the flag post and then turn in again, and the Döttingerhöhe Strait is in front of us. Now let's see that again, uninterrupted and with proper sound.